Coming up on Cedar Valley Today, teens in tanning beds may be no more. We'll tell you how one bill could affect who uses the tanning salon.
And Wartburg College President Daryl Colson breaks down the college budget in response to the 4% tuition increase.
And this year's harsh winter takes a toll on area roads. Cedar Valley Today starts now. Hello and welcome to Cedar Valley Today. I'm Nicole Lyons.
Prom season. Sequins.
Though the weather is still cold, many Iowans are beginning to work on their spring tans.
But a new proposal in Des Moines might stop some from jumping in the tanning beds. Cedar Valley Today's Jeannie Edson is here to tell us more.
That's right. Prom and tanning often go hand in hand. But for Iowa teens under the age of 18, this cosmetic darkening of their skin may no longer be an option.
Prom season. Sequins, sparkles, and skin cancer. For young teens, the preparation for prom is almost as important as the night itself.
I'd have to do like a tiny diamond or something.
A popular step for looking their best? Tanning.
Everything that's on TV too, like they promote it, like if you're not tan, you're not pretty.
Nashua Plainfield senior Amber Carter says tanning is a prom tradition.
I started tanning my freshman year. I didn't know any harm against it. I just thought it was a cool thing to do.
A tradition Iowa lawmakers may soon end. A proposal was recently passed in the Iowa Senate that would ban minors from using tanning beds due to the health-related risks. Many health professionals oppose artificial tanning due to its use of UVA and UVB light, which can cause skin cancer.
Studies have shown that the more UV exposure we get when we're younger can actually increase our chances of developing those cancers later on in life.
You never know, you could be that person, but like in general, I never really think about it when I am tanning.
As a tanning bed owner, Kathy Hout says the ban could put her in a difficult situation.
Well, it would affect my business because I would say probably 25% of my customers are 18 or under. I get a lot of the kids that tan for prom and spring.
But as a mother, Hout considers the risks.
I would tell other moms to really weigh how important it is to them, that their daughter have a tan.
Currently, at least 33 states and the District of Columbia regulate the use of tanning facilities for minors. Back to you, Kelsey.
Thanks, Jeannie. The Wartburg Volunteer Action Center teamed up with the Red Cross yesterday to collect 53 units of blood. The goal for the day was 60 units. Going into the drive, 40 donors had signed up. This is the second time that the Red Cross has come to campus this school year. Workers say there are a few tips to remember before donating.
Make sure you eat well. Make sure you drink lunch. I always recommend about a liter the night before and a liter the day of. Water makes a huge difference. Not only does it make the vein bigger, so it's an easier target for us, but at the same time it will make you feel better at the end.
Hawkeye Community College held a MoneySmart Egg Conference on Tuesday morning. The conference had guest speakers from Market to Market and a Federal Reserve economist from Chicago. They had people of all ages there to learn more about smart ways for spending money on their farms. Organizers hoped the conference would also help farmers from different generations learn some helpful tips for starting their own farm.
Money Smart Week, being that it is a federal program, and the Cedar Valley communities have jumped on board with that program, there is great opportunity for us to maybe continue this from year to year. Every year they kind of change the focus.
The emerald ash borer has been identified in trees in Waverly, Bremer County, and 6 other counties. According to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, it is a small green wood beetle which kills all ash tree species. Trees attacked by the beetle can die within 2 years. To prevent the beetle from spreading, the DNR says not to remove firewood from infested areas into non-infested areas.
And now we'll turn to Cedar Valley Today's Elizabeth Dewitt for our first look at our forecast. What's in store for us?
Thanks, Nicole. We're going to start off in the morning with a high of only about -5 degrees, And then as we move on throughout the day, it's still going to be negative 10 degrees, I'm sorry, for the morning, about 8 a.m. Then as we move on throughout the day at about noon, it's going to be pretty windy with a high of only 5 degrees. And then as we move on to about 5 p.m., it's going to be a high of only 17 degrees. And there is going to be a wind chill advisory until about 11 a.m. this morning. So on your way to work, just make sure you stay bundled up. So it's going to be another chilly one today.
Another chilly one.
Yep.
And the constant cold weather this winter has worn on our patients, but it also has worn on something you may not normally think of, our roads. Cedar Valley Today's Jesse Kielman tells us more.
If you didn't have enough reasons to want the winter weather to end, we have one more to add to the list. Pothole damage in the Cedar Valley is unusually high this year due to the severe weather. According to Brian Heath, the Operations and Maintenance Division Manager for the City of Cedar Falls, there are a couple reasons motorists may be experiencing unusually bad roads. The first is that the roads have endured more damage than in past years due to the severe weather. In addition to this, the conditions have prevented the city from repairing roads as consistently as normal. The city isn't able to use the preferred repair methods until the temperature rises above freezing, and the ice that remains in the potholes is preventing them from using their temporary solutions, meaning relief is still off on the horizon. Heath says that there are 3 preferred methods to deal with potholes. The most common one is hot mix asphalt, which the city will begin using in May after the winter is over. The second type is cold mix, which the city uses for temporary fixes. However, because the temperatures haven't risen above freezing, ice has filled the potholes for much of the season, preventing the use of the cold mix. The final method is the spray injection patch, which is a long-term solution that can be used before spring arrives. Although this is an ideal solution, it has to be used in above freezing temperatures, which hasn't been a frequent occurrence this year. Although the city has plans in place to repair potholes throughout the winter, he says the issue has been addressed long before the first frost.
Out of this freeze-thaw coming up, like in April, late March, you get a lot of moisture underneath the pavement that penetrates. And then what it does is when it freezes at night, it just kind of pushes all that material back out. So what we try to do throughout the summertime is prevent that moisture from penetrating the pavement in the first place, and that's with the Good Sound Crack Seal program. And so we have a crew that's dedicated to that exclusively throughout the summer.
Days in the forecast, Heath is unsure when the city will be able to start repairs again.
Coming up after the break, we'll tell you what you need to know in today's Top 5.
And President Daryl Colson explains Wartburg College's recent tuition increase. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Whether or not this bill becomes a state law, many state Republicans believe it sanctions discrimination in their state and is un-American. Supporters of the bill say people of faith deserve their freedom too. Positive results follow a new program Chicago police are using to stop gang violence. Please reach out to people who are on a list of most likely to become victims or offenders of violent crimes based on their social networks. The program is designed to pressure gang members to stay out of trouble. The program named Hug-a-Thug was started 7 months ago. Now, Colorado State Troopers are undergoing a different kind of training. Troopers take part in a 9-day course on how to recognize drivers who are under the influence of marijuana. This while they were at the hospital. Father says he delivered Alea on his own without a nurse or a doctor in the room. Why? Because the doctor was busy and the staff wasn't ready. A hospital representative said the maternity ward is staffed 24/7 and the mother and baby are doing just fine. Now, a mysterious illness that mimics polio is causing concern amongst parents in California. As many as 25 children have become paralyzed or has had weakness in one or more of their limbs, and it comes on suddenly. The damage appears to be permanent for the children. An exact cause of this mystery illness is still unknown. Doctors say polio vaccines do not protect children from this illness.
Sophia is one of at least 5 children in California showing signs of a mysterious.
So tuition is.
Wartburg College says its tuition is raising its tuition by over 4% for the next school year. Wartburg Trumpet Editor-in-Chief Kristen Canning sat down with President Daryl Colson to give students the breakdown of the budget and to address their concerns.
So tuition has been increasing pretty much yearly, and I've seen that it's at a higher rate than inflation.
Yeah.
So why is that?
Oh, okay, good question. It's because our expenses are higher than inflation as well. So, you know, the inflation number, CPI we call it, is it Consumer Price Index is the standard number, and certain things are taken out of the CPI so it will be consistent over many, many decades, so that, you know, for governments and business to use as a benchmark or standard, so they can moderate. Primarily the Federal Reserve likes to use it a lot for its work. But when you look at the college, college's finances, we have some major cost items that increase every year, the largest of which is financial aid. And so just as tuition rises faster than the inflation rate, the CPI rate, so too does the financial aid that we give to students. So both of those all move in lockstep.
When students come in, though, they have their guaranteed financial aid package, and that stays with them for their 4 years.
Exactly.
So when tuition keeps increasing, then does that kind of devalue what they had received, or it's not covering as much of their tuition?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Kristen, and it seems that way, but to go back to what I was trying to say earlier, and this is hard when you're a student and you're making month-to-month bills, or your parents are making month-to-month bills, it's hard to imagine that the way we're calculating over a 4-year period. So what we're doing is building a financial aid package.
So with tuition rising every year, do you think there's ever a point where it will stop even without a freeze, or is there a type of bubble? You know, many students are just concerned about, you know, the future and if it's just going to keep going up every year.
Yeah, I don't know too far in the future. I can't look too far in the future. I can kind of see a couple of years down the road. The word bubble, I hear every once in a while I hear a student talking about a bubble. What a bubble is in finance is a rapidly it's a purported asset that has a rapidly rising price. The thing to think about, or the thing to know, the thing to remember, the thing to be confident about a college education is that it is an investment. It's an investment that for hundreds of years, for centuries, has always had a payoff. Okay, and that's the thing. It's not a purported asset. It's a genuine asset. And so what we know by looking back, we can look back decades, we can look back centuries. What we know is that a college education, though it's expensive, and I'll concede that point, it's expensive, will pay rich dividends. And it depends, no matter how you look at it.
If you would like to watch the full interview with President Colson, go to the Wartburg Circuit and check out this week's special coverage on rising tuition. Next on Cedar Valley Today, National Eating Disorder Awareness Week begins. Stay tuned to see how you can make a difference in the Cedar Valley.
All right, we're going to start off with our weather for today. As we start off in the morning, it's going to actually be sunny throughout the day, but it is going to be relatively cold, starting in the morning with a high of only about -10 degrees. As we move on throughout the day, it's going to be very windy. There's actually going to be a wind chill advisory until about 11 a.m. So make sure as you're going to work, you stay warm. And then as we move on to tomorrow, it's going to be sunny throughout the day. We're going to see, starting off in the morning, a high of about -10 degrees. For tomorrow, as we move on, it's going to be sunny throughout the day. It's going to be a negative of about -5, and then as we move out throughout the day, it's going to be -8, and then as we move on, it's going to be very cold. Our national weather, we're looking at, it's going to be different throughout the United States. It's going to start off being pretty warm. Obviously in Miami, it's going to be very warm, and of about the high 80s. In Seattle, it's going to be a high of about 55 degrees. LA, 64. Denver, it's going to be 50. So it's going to be pretty different throughout the United States. 13 degrees for Chicago. It's going to be pretty cold. So make sure you bundle up, stay warm, and we're going to give it back to you guys at the interview.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, February 23rd through March 1st marks National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Here are a few statistics about eating disorders. In the U.S., 20 million women and 10 million men suffer from an eating disorder at some time in their life. And it is common for eating disorders to lead to other disorders such as OCD and substance abuse. Anorexia has the highest mortality rate of any psychiatric disorder. And for females between 15 and 25, the death rate associated with anorexia is 12 times higher than the death rate of all other causes of death. Joining me now is UNI graduate Shauna Haslett to discuss how you can get involved here in the Cedar Valley. So thank you so much for joining me. Now, first, you guys are hosting a panel tomorrow, is that correct? Can you discuss what will be at that?
Yes, so we will be hosting an eating disorder awareness panel. So basically we will be showing some videos of real students who have suffered from an eating disorder, and they are former UNI students, and they will be talking about their experience, how they got through their eating disorder, the services that they reached out on campus. So I guess I'll go over that a little bit. We have a nurse practitioner, a health educator, and a counselor on campus for students to reach out to, and it's a whole professional team that kind of helps the student get through their eating disorder. So we'll be discussing that as well at the panel. There will be time to ask questions, and our health educator will be talking about how everyone can get involved on campus, and also talking about how to help a friend and what you can do if you may suspect that a friend has an eating disorder. So we'll be covering all of that tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Okay, and why did you guys decide to hold this event, or why did you feel it was important?
Well, National Eating Disorder Awareness Week has always been something that we try to promote at the campus at UNI. It's very important because it's very hard for people to normalize eating and make that just an everyday part of their life when people are constantly talking about calories, carbs, dieting. That can either, what people say and do can either be harmful or helpful to someone who has an eating disorder. So we really need to refrain from talking about those types of things and creating awareness that having an eating disorder is not a choice. It's a mental disorder, and it's very serious and sometimes life-threatening. So we want to make that always aware, and we have table tents, we have Facebook posts that we're doing, we have displays all over campus. Residents, life coordinators, and RAs are getting involved at the dorms and trying to create awareness. We're giving out little mirrors that talk about healthy body image that, you know, really focus on your inner beauty. So we're doing everything we can to really spread the word, as well as talk about the panel.
Okay, and you mentioned how to talk to people, or maybe some ways to possibly prevent an eating disorder, or to be aware of what those, those words mean to people. So what would you say are some good prevention things?
Yes, first I would suggest that to be a good friend, you have to, there's a lot of things that you want to refrain from saying. So first, make yourself aware of what we call fat talk. And that's using any words or talking about anything that reinforces the thin ideal, and it reinforces men and women's dissatisfaction with their bodies. So that's saying things like, I'm so fat, or do I look fat in these jeans? So trying to refrain from using those types of things and turn those thoughts into positive affirmations, and refrain from doing that around your friends. Okay. And also learning about ways to help a friend. So if you think that your friend has an eating disorder, not talking about calories, not talking about carbs, not talking about clothes, and trying to help your friend, but also be patient and non-judgmental. You don't want to force them to eat food. You don't want to force them to go get help. You don't want to go behind their back and talk about their problem with a doctor. It's really, you really have to be just patient and talk to them as a friend and be supportive.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Can you reiterate once more when the event will be tomorrow and the details of that event?
Yes. So the panel will be at 4 o'clock from 4 to 5, Schindler Education Center, room 247. And we'll be talking about how to prevent eating disorders, as well as listening to real stories from past UNI students, and there will be University Health Services available to answer questions.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Now, if you or someone you know is looking for more information about eating disorders, check out one of these options. Now, when we come back, the postseason is here. We've got highlights from Wartburg's basketball teams in the Iowa Conference Tournament. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to Cedar Valley Today. I'm Nathan Ford. The last time Wartburg's women's basketball team won a game in Indianola, most of the current players weren't even in middle school. The Knights opened the IIAC tournament on the road against Simpson Tuesday, looking to avoid a season sweep. Wartburg would start off the game strong as Kaylee Cladovo was able to make the shot, get fouled, and make the free throw for a three-point play. And then a couple of possessions later, Holly Halstead finds Mary Brown in transition. That's good for 2. Knights were up by as many as 12 and led 20-14 at the half. But at the start of the second half, Simpson storms back. Morgan Morrow hits a 3. They go on a 12-0 run to take the lead, but Alyssa Sager answers with a 3 as the shot clock is winding down. She led all scorers with 21. But Simpson kept coming as Maddie Mullenbrook ties the game. Then with a minute left, Knights up by 1. Sager drives, misses, but Allison Emmerich is there for the rebound and the putback. Knights are up by 3. It would come down to the final shot with the Knights up 1. But Brittany Hedrick settles for the long 2. Shot is no good, and the Knights would hang on to win 55-54. Their first win at Simpson since the 2004 conference tournament. With the win, Wartburg moves on to the semifinals. They play at league champion Loris tomorrow night. Game time is set for 7 p.m. The men's basketball team also in the 5th seed this year's conference tournament and hope to pull a road upset for the 2nd straight year when they travel to BV Wednesday night. The Knights found themselves in a shootout in the first half and starting the losing ground when BV moves the ball around to Michael Kaufman, who drains the triple for the 10-point lead. But Wartburg put a late charge on and scored 7 straight points in the last minute, capped by Jordan Cannon, who pulls up from the volleyball line just in front of half court and nails the 3 at the buzzer to go into halftime down by 3. The Beavers come out of the break and took control of the lead and moved ahead by double digits after Brett Heitkamp scoops up Nick Clark's miss. He gets fouled by Brett Algren for the and 1. The Knights didn't quit, erased the 10-point deficit when freshman Nick Weber hits this jumper from the wing to give Wartburg a 78-77 lead with 2 minutes left. Then a minute later, Cole Darrow knocks down a 3 of his game-high 28 to put BV up 4. But Thomas Perkins sprints back down the court, nets a triple of his own with 7 ticks remaining to pull Wartburg within 1. The Knights have one last chance. Tanner Kramer intentionally misses the free throw, tipped out by Deemer to Cannon, who gets a good look but airballs the shot as the men's season ends with an 85-83 loss. Wartburg concludes its season with a 13-13 record and will say goodbye to 7 seniors, including leading scorers Eddie Deemer and Thomas Perkins. That's it for sports today. We'll be right back with Cedar Valley Today after this. Rack 'em Up Promotions has a full line of promotional items. They carry corporate as well as team and spirit apparel. If you're looking for something different, check us out.
Now that's all the time we have for Cedar Valley Today.
Tune in Friday for a brand new show. Have a great day, Cedar Valley.